There seems to be a lot of debate in this country right now about free speech and what it is. So I figured that we could just go over it all, reading the amendment, reading a law school's breakdown of what it actually means, so there could be at least a better conversation in regards to this. It seems a lot of people are under the impression that a lot of things that are already established in our First Amendment are not. So I figured the best way to prove it is just to go over it. So let's just jump right in. The First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free expression thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peacefully to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Now, just like most legal language, it is confusing on purpose. Luckily for us, there are people that are way smarter than me that have broke this down. First Amendment in overview. The First Amendment of the United States Constitution protects the right to freedom of religion and freedom of expression from government interference. It prohibits any laws that establish a national religion, impede the free exercise of religion, abridge the freedom of speech, infringe upon the freedom of the press, interfere with the right to peacefully assemble, or prohibit citizens from petitioning for a governmental redress of grievances. It was adopted into the Bill of Rights in 1791. The Supreme Court interprets the extent of the protection afforded to these rights. The First Amendment has been interpreted by the court as implying to the entire federal government, even though it is only expressly applicable to Congress. Furthermore, the court has interpreted the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment as protecting the rights of the First Amendment from interference by state governments. That's really important. So as we go further into this, we see two clauses in the First Amendment guarantee freedom of religion. The Establishment Clause prohibits the government from passing legislation to establish an official religion or preferring one religion over another, and enforces the separation of church and state. However, some governmental activity related to religion has been declared constitutional by the Supreme Court. For example, providing bus transportation to parochial, and I know I said that wrong, school students, and the enforcement of blue laws is not prohibited. The Free Exercise Clause prohibits the government in most instances. The most basic component of freedom of expression is the right to freedom of speech. Freedom of speech may be exercised in a direct or a symbolic way. Freedom of speech is recognized as a human right under Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The right to freedom of speech allows individuals to express themselves without government interference or regulation. The Supreme Court requires the government to provide substantial justification for the interference with the right of free speech where it attempts to regulate the content of speech. Generally, a person cannot be held liable either criminally or civilly for anything written or spoken about a person or topic so long as it is truthful or based on honest opinion. So let's just stop there for a second and let that soak in. That already is going to clear up a lot of debate, but as we get into this a little bit further, they start talking about the illegal activities, which is super important. A less stringent test is applied for content-neutral legislation. The Supreme Court has also recognized that the government may prohibit some speech that may cause a breach of the peace or cause violence. For more on unprotected or less protected categories of speech, see advocacy of legal action, fighting words, commercial speech, and obscenity. The right to free speech includes other mediums of expression that may communicate a message. The level of protection speech receives also depends on the forum in which it takes place. Despite the popular misunderstanding, the right to freedom of press is guaranteed by the First Amendment. Guaranteed by the First Amendment is not very different from the right to freedom of speech. It allows an individual to express themselves through publication and dissemination. It is part of the constitutional protection of freedom of expression. It does not afford members of the media any special rights or privileges. It does not provide members of the media special privileges, so stop acting like it. As we go into this a little bit more, the right to assemble, protest, The right to assemble allows people to gather for peaceful and lawful purposes. Implicit within the right is the right to association and belief. The Supreme Court has expressly recognized that a right to freedom of association and belief is implicit in the First, Fifth, and 14th Amendments. Freedom of assembly is recognized as a human right under Article 20 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This implicit right is limited to the right to associate for First Amendment purposes. It does not include a right of social association. The government may prohibit people from knowingly associating in groups that engage and promote illegal activities. The right to associate also prohibits the government from requiring a group to register or disclose its members, from denying government benefits on the basis of an individual's current or past membership in particular groups. There are exceptions to this rule where the court finds the governmental interest in disclosure registration outweigh interference with First Amendment rights. The government may also generally not compel individuals to express themselves, hold certain beliefs, or belong to a particular association, which I feel is currently being done. The right to petition the government for a redress of grievances guarantees people the right to ask the government to provide relief for a wrong through litigation or other governmental action. It works with the right of assembly by allowing people to join together and seek change. Okay. I know that was a lot, but I feel like it's going to sum up a lot of the problems that we're having right now. If you are in a debate about what is or is not free speech, refer to this video. If you do not think that Cornell is a good enough law school and that there's a better source, let me know. Again, in the description, you can find where I got all this information. Let's just keep fighting for the truth.